I'm Ian Curry, this is Chasing Cars, and you join me in Melbourne for a Toyota showcase event because behind this giant sign they've got a raft of new vehicles, some pre-production versions, some just about to arrive on our shores, and they've got 7 of them that they're going to show us very quickly. So we haven't got much time, but we're going to try to get around as quick as we can and show you some of the latest and greatest of Toyota's electrification journey. The off-roader we've been waiting 14 years for. It is the next generation Prado right here in Australia. We get to see it finally, and as you can see, it's got the squared off lights, not the round ones as the American ones have, but we're told this isn't an official production car. It is the final evaluation prototype. That means it's proper new Prado underneath, proper new Prado skin, but just not quite the finished product. But if we look around, it is much edgier than, of course, the outgoing Prado. It is a much more dynamic looking vehicle, and it's pretty exciting actually to see the first new Prado for 14 years. And as you can see, really nice boxy arches, sharp lines. I wish they had a different color than white. It's not terribly exciting like this, but obviously we expect so much from this vehicle, and Toyota Australia has told us the orders that they're trying to get through the dealers, it's absolutely off the charts. As you can imagine, the waiting list is going to be crazy. They're not going to let us into this one. They've kept the doors locked, they've kept the bonnet down, but we can see that it has been evaluated to the extreme. The underside is completely peppered with marks and stones, and there's mud underneath and everything. So obviously Toyota Australia has been evaluating this car hard, as it'll need to be to really make a mark with buyers of the Prado. The Land Cruiser 70 series, Toyota have said they've gone retro with it, but I don't know how you can go retro on something that's never not really been retro, because it hasn't changed for decades. But there are these beautiful front lights, and I must say it really does lend itself to the vehicle so well. It is a very cool feature. Now, of course, the biggest change is under the bonnet. For the first time, they're going to put a diesel 4-cylinder with 6-speed automatic gearbox. Of course, the GD 2.8 litre diesels coming straight out of the Toyota Hilux, but we're told that there are changes to make it more relevant to the proper Outback user. But you've still got the 150 kilowatts and 500 Newton meters. And fear not, they're going to retain the V8. They've said who knows for how much longer, but they said if you want the V8, you can still get one when the order books open again. Of course, supply an ongoing problem for this vehicle. And we're also told that the order books will open for this new vehicle in October, with delivery starting in November. But again, you can imagine the waiting list will be off the charts. Just as buyers of the 70 series would like, it has remained incredibly utilitarian in here. But there are some changes. Obviously, I've got an auto gearbox here for that 6-speed auto with the diesel engine. My screen is a 6.7-inch unit that runs wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so that's a big change. And this steering wheel is out of the Hilux. So a few changes, but don't worry, it is still as rugged, hard-wearing, and very basic as you'd expect of a 70 series. This is probably the most important vehicle we're going to be seeing this evening. This is the Hilux Revo prototype. So it's not a production model. Toyota's been very careful to tell us, you know, this isn't confirmed for Australia. It's not even confirmed for production, but it's been built in Thailand. It's 2-wheel drive, single cab, as you can see, and they have alluded that it has the same battery pack as you'll find in the BZ4X SUV coming to Australia later this year. So it's pretty exciting, I think, from a personal and from an Australian perspective, to see a Hilux, a fully electric Hilux. Now, Toyota hasn't let us get into the vehicle. It's not letting us open it. It's a reminder that this is a prototype. But wouldn't it be wonderful to imagine that, who knows, in a few years' time, we might get a proper dual cab. We might get proper decent range for our very popular Hilux. And certainly, if you can imagine a dual cab, this is the single cab, of course, with really large load tray, as you'll find in Thailand. So for those sort of markets, these things are going to be in production very soon. And I've just popped down the side, and as you can see, there's your charge port going on, showing that we've got a full electric vehicle. And as I previously mentioned, it's gonna have under here, we'd imagine, the BZ4X battery pack, which they said isn't going to be terribly long range. That's not exactly what Australia needs, but for this market, for going to Thailand, 2-wheel drive, single cab, that's going to be ideal for city use where they'll be using it. So Toyota Australia is obviously very conscious, even if they haven't said it, of the conversions happening by Revo EV to make electric Hiluxes. And that's why this vehicle has been here in Australia, and it has been going through evaluation process. And I think the idea of seeing one of these things you know, proper long range that'll tow 3.5 tons, proper battery pack inside it. You know, the Toyota has said that it is coming, they are working on it. It will happen eventually, just can't tell us exactly when or where. So fingers crossed it won't take too much longer, because it's pretty exciting to see a Hilux fully electric. Here's the big fella, the Toyota Tundra Hybrid. Now, we've got to be careful what we say about this, because it's not a full launch of this vehicle just yet, but Toyota Australia have sent 300 of these to Walkinshaw Automotive for the right-hand drive conversion. And how they're going to play it is dealers are contacting their current customers, and they're trying to find out, based on occupation, its usage, exactly who's going to be the best fit for these. And you can't buy them outright, it's going to be on a lease program for evaluation purposes. But we really want this vehicle to come here on a full proper launch, because it's going to be a proper rival to the Chevy Silverado, the Ford F-150, of course. Powering these big things is a V6 twin turbo petrol hybrid that's good for 326 kilowatts and a massive 790 newton meters of torque. That's going to make this thing tow up to 5 tons, which is massive, of course. The tray itself, the payload's just over 750 kilograms, not too much bigger than you'll find in a normal dual cab ute, but I think it's all about the towing for these things, isn't it? It's hard not to love these big things when you get inside. That is an absolutely giant central screen. Got my digital driver display as well, and everything about the Tundra feels massive, as you'd expect. Now, this is the limited grade, it says so on the side, but we haven't found out exactly how many and what grades are coming to Australia in that 300 batch of right-hand drive converted ones. This is the next generation Toyota CHR. It's the first time we've seen it on Australian soil, and as you can see, they've really upped the design elements here. I know the CHR was always quite funky and cool looking, but this one takes it to the next level. It's been completely designed, engineered and built in Europe, this thing, and it's going to be hybrid only, so it's going to be the first Toyota that's hybrid only in its entire range. You've got the 1.8 litre or the more powerful 2 litre hybrid engine choice. This one being the 2 litre with all-wheel drive, so that's going to be all-wheel drive only. And as you can see, they've done some kind of funky colour scheme here, two-tone. I remember Peugeot did this with the 208 a few years ago with the red and black. Again, sort of lending itself to a slightly different small SUV style. I think it looks really cool. It's so sharp at the back end. It's got some sort of racing style looks. It's got the GR badge, so this is obviously a very high spec one. This is the GR Sport version of the new CHR. So this is the ultimate specification you can get, and it feels really sporty in here, and you can just feel and touch. There is a difference to the outgoing model. It does feel a lot more premium. Having twin screens here, a nice 12.3 inch screen, I've been told, wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, I've got a digital screen in front of me. Also giant panoramic sunroof as well, so it really does have an air of class in here. And we know with these being hybrid only, I've got my EV button here as well. This really cute little shifter as well. So yeah, real upping in the raciness. I feel this is going to appeal a lot to the younger buyer. So great job by the looks of it so far, but unfortunately no full specification revealed on this yet, but we'll know that closer to launch in March or April next year. Next up, I'm going to show you the new Hilux GR Sport, and it is a tough looking thing. I know it's there to try to target Ranger Raptor, and if you check out the big Toyota badging at the front, that really is in your face and good. And what I really like about this is the amount of Australian elements that have gone into it. There's been a lot of local engineering, local parts put on, stuff like the bash plate underneath here. We've got uprated springs, we've got off-road spec tyres, rims, bigger brakes as well. And of course, the engine itself is up on power now, 165 kilowatts and 550 Newton meters of torque, making it the most powerful Hilux we've had. The interior of the Hilux GR Sport, it's not a great deal different to your conventional normal Hilux. It's still plastic fantastic throughout, but the seats do feel really good. They do have nice leather bolsters and a suede finish in the center and a GR badging for the headrests. Now, we've been told that these things are going to be in Australian showrooms in September 12, so you haven't got long to wait for it. Here is Toyota Australia's very first full battery electric vehicle, the BZ4X, of course. I still can't believe they've given it that name. Doesn't exactly trip off the tongue, but here it is. Very edgy in design, and the only real update news we can give you for the car is the date of arrival in Australia has been pushed back again. If you remember, this car was supposed to be with us late in 2022. That's got pushed out to late this year. Now we've learned that what they're going to do is production for Australia cars is November 2023. So they'll be arriving in showrooms in February 2024. Now, maybe negative that we have to wait a bit longer, but a positive is that means they're going to do an updated specification. So the cars will be more generously appointed with tech and features. They haven't revealed that. We still don't know how much the car's going to cost. We reckon about $75,000 to make it square on competitor with Tesla Model Y. And we have been told that they have secured a reasonable allocation, so there will be thousands of these vehicles in Australia next year. But of course, that's still going to be way behind what Tesla Model Y does. But it's great to see it in the metal. It is a sharp looking thing. It is of a good size. It's slightly bigger than a Toyota RAV4. So a great family electric car when it does arrive. It was a very short and sweet trip tour around to see these cars, but I'm sure you'll agree there's some interesting things coming in Toyota's immediate future. I'd love to know if you had a favorite, which are you most excited about, any potential disappointments from what you've seen. Please leave some comments in the section below. Click subscribe while you're at it. And as ever, thank you very much for watching Chasing Cars.